sorry if I'm a little yellow. I'm still working on the lighting, but hopefully this isn't too bad or too blinding or anything. But I'm really excited because school is going to start in about a month for me, and I just thought I'd start my back to school series right now. And just to kind of add a kickstart to it, I'm going to share with you guys my study tips. So let's get on with it on how to get those straight A's. So the very first tip that I have to share with you guys on how to get good grades is actually stay organized with your schedule. Now, at the beginning of the year and when I started high school, I figured out that it was actually really hard to kind of find time to do everything. High school is a whole nother ballpark compared to middle school, and the slope between middle school and high school is like really big for me, and college is gonna be just the same. I know that probably sounds as simple as possible, but it's actually so hard for lazy people like me to stay organized, and I've struggled so much staying organized. But something that has really helped me is to have a planner, and this was the planner that I used last year for school. I got it from Target. It was like $6 or $7, and it's by the brand Green Room, and I just collaged it myself at the front. So it's like a fun little DIY to add your own taste and flavor to your planner. What I really like about planners is that there's a monthly page, and then you have your weekly pages. And I like to fill out the months accordingly, and I'll write what I have going on a certain day within that month. So when I open up to the month page that's like a calendar, you can just see everything that's going on. But then within the weekly pages, you can kind of see what's going on just that week, so you can stay focused on that week particularly. My second tip for you guys is not to cram. And I know everyone says this, and despite the fact that they tell you not to cram, I can assure you, everyone who says don't cram will cram. Now, if you are not blessed with a photographic memory or a long-term memory, this is probably going to be very important for you. And a way to keep yourself from cramming is if you review the notes the same night you learn them. And by doing that, you actually retain the information just much longer, and it just sticks to you much better. And I think it's scientifically proven somewhere. Not sure, someone back me up and Google it. If you like review your notes the same night you learn them, it's gonna stay there longer. Just someone look it up. So what I like to do is actually write down all my notes or type them out, whatever, and then when I come back from school, I'll spend 15 minutes reviewing my notes from that day before I start my homework. And then just reviewing your things and reading them just allows you to understand them better. And what you want to do is actually understand your notes. Now, just reading them and then understanding them is like a whole different ballpark. And understanding them is how you're going to be able to basically remember things better. So just read them until you understand what's going on, and then start your homework. And try to do your homework without looking back at your notes again. And just by doing this, it's just really helped me remember everything that's going on, especially in like math and my science classes and my English classes. So review your notes, because that is very important. My third tip for you guys has to do with remembering things. And if you actually have like a vocab test to study for, or if you have terms that you're not very sure about and you need to memorize, I actually recommend note cards. And a really good alternative for note cards is a website called Quizlet, and I have been using the website since I was in 5th grade, believe it or not. It's basically note cards but online, so you're still getting the like benefactor of learning, but you're not wasting paper and killing trees. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a win-win situation. It's a totally free site. You just sign up and then you can make your own note cards or flashcards, and you just kind of like type in the answer and it flips them around. You can like choose which way you want them to quiz you, and there's also some very fun games and like racing games for you to like play in order to match up your like note cards and such. I don't know, it's just a really nice little website, and I've been using it since 5th grade and it's really helped me. So yeah, if you guys have issues finding note cards, just use Quizlet. Like my life depends on Quizlet. It's such a great website, and you don't have to like worry about losing your note cards because everything is online. I've been there, I've done that. Like guys, it's just so convenient. And there's also an app for it, and I have the app, and like between breaks and in the middle of a class, if I have a test going on that day where I have to review my note cards, I will like go on my phone and go through the app and go over those note cards really fast, and it is probably the most handy app out there. My fourth tip is to limit yourself. And I know that sounds really weird, but if you study too much, I'm sorry, you need to stop. Or if you don't study enough, you're probably gonna wanna put some more effort into that. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but this also has to do on the factor that you shouldn't be cramming. And if you kind of limit yourself and take a little bit in every day instead of everything within that same night, you actually get a better chance of remembering things. Yeah, that's right. So limiting yourself and the amount of time that you spend studying is very important. Now, I know some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, but I forgot to study for this and I have to cram the night before, but don't do that to yourself. Like, just don't. and you will regret cramming. I've regretted cramming, and just staying up all night to study just doesn't help. Like, you will not be able to function in the morning no matter what you tell yourself. My fourth tip for you guys is to get a good night's rest. And I know that sounds very typical, but you want about at least 8 hours of sleep every night, especially if you have a huge test coming up the next day. And this is where you shouldn't be cramming. I know you may get worried if you have a test the next day, and you will want to look over every single thing, make sure you know every single thing, and you're gonna overwork yourself, but that's just gonna create more stress on your body, and then you will end up losing your hours in sleeping, and then the next day you're gonna be exhausted, you're probably gonna fall asleep in all of your classes, and you're not gonna be able to read a sentence correctly. It's happened to me. My fifth tip for you guys is how to highlight. I know that sounds very weird, but highlighting is very important, especially when studying, and I have an addiction to highlighters anyway, so I'm like, last year I bought way too many highlighters. They were gone within the first semester. It's ridiculous how much I highlight. But highlighting important facts is very important, especially when you're gonna go back and study things. It avoids you having to like spend hours and hours reading an entire chapter, but instead you're gonna only look at important things. And for English, that's like a whole different factor of highlighting. What I like to do is read over my assignment, and I will highlight any like main factors. Like if they tell you this means this, or if like some scientific term means like this, or where your blood will flow or something like that, I'll just highlight that. You know, it's like a little side note. It's like, oh, this is kind of important because it tells you its function to this and this. Like in history, if there are any people that they mention that could be important, even if they're not important, if you think they're important, highlight their name and what they did, or how long ago this was, the dates, just all that, just highlight it. And then when you actually go back, you don't have to read the entire chapter or what happened, just read your highlighted notes. And that's probably the best way I can recommend studying for a test the night before, especially if you're gonna cram. You just have to put in the effort to like highlight and read over things. It's just so important. I don't know, but highlighting has saved me from having to like cram so hard and read like an entire history chapter. It's just highlighting. My next tip for you guys, which is like my sixth tip, is to actually cram correctly. And I know some of you guys are gonna kill me because I told you not to cram, but if you do cram, you're gonna have to be very careful about it and how much time you spend cramming. Make sure you're also taking breaks in between your crams, so that is very important. I will spend about 2 hours like trying to get all this information in, and probably nothing will go into my head. Something I've learned is I actually like taking naps after school, and then I start my cramming. Usually when you're getting back from school, you're totally exhausted and you have absolutely no energy. So I take about a 30 to 45 minute nap, and then when I'm awake, I like to take a 15-minute jog, and I'm totally awake, my system is running, I am bouncing, I am ready, and I'm gonna attack my books. I recommend hitting all of the hard stuff first and going to the easy things last. And usually at my school, the day before we have a test, we're actually learning something new, and that new stuff should still be in your head. But after school, right after you wake up from that nap, if you take one, look over the things that you learned that day, kind of read over it, get an understanding of it, and then hit all of your older stuff first. The reason why you want to hit your harder stuff first is because that's when you'll have the most energy. And then the stuff leading towards the stuff that you learned that day will eventually slowly come back to you. But hit all the older things first and then make your way up. It just really helps. And that's just how I've learned to cram. And if you get tired, if you're starting to close your eyes, go for a walk. Just shut your books, put everything down, stop what you're doing, go for a walk, 10-15 minutes, sip on some tea, relax a bit, chill, and just like forget about everything, and then go back and hit your books hard again. Another tip that I have for you guys is to rely on friends. And I know that sounds really bad, but if you have a huge test coming up, don't work yourself. Like, I know you're probably gonna want to like rely on yourself, but if you compare your notes to like another person's, or if you quiz your friends or have your friends quiz you, you'll probably find something that you didn't know. And it's just important. I know some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, what if you don't have friends? Like, no. Something that I've learned is that if you review with someone who you think wouldn't even be getting good grades, you're gonna be really surprised on the things that they've been able to pick up during like a lecture or like a book or just within class that you might have missed, and it just fills in your gaps. And My next tip is to actually not study too hard, and this counteracts the cramming. If you are not cramming, then this shouldn't be a problem. You're probably gonna kill me, but I got it from that one Jackie Chan movie with Jaden Smith in it, and that one girl who plays violin. She was like getting ready from like some huge violin concert, and then Jaden Smith told her that if you study too hard, something, and then ever since then I've just been like, screw this test, and then I'll like take a nap, do my homework, review a little, but not worry too much, and that has really helped. Like it calms your nerves down before a test, and I have a really bad like case of anxiety when I'm taking a test. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I get really anxious and I like flip out and I like overthink things, and it's just, you just need to learn how to relax while taking a test, and it's a very important skill. Is this number 7? I think this is number 7. So my 7th tip for you guys is to actually look over your things 5 or 10 minutes before that test. If you are still unsure about something, within those 5 or 10 minutes, just kind of like read over things really quickly, memorize the name or the answer to whatever you think the question may be, and when you get that test, find the question to whatever you just looked over and fill it in really fast, because you are going to end up forgetting about it later on if you wait until the very end to fill it out within that test. I think this is my 8th tip. I can't really count. It's kind of sad. Number 8, reward yourself. I know that sounds very weird, but if you tell yourself that, oh, if I get an A on this test, I can go shopping the next day, or oh, if I get an A on this test, my mom's gonna make this for dinner. Like, if you tell yourself something great is gonna happen, something great is probably gonna happen, and it's gonna give you more motivation to put your head into those books, so do it. Number 9, I think this is number 9. Every teacher is different. They all have different teaching styles. Whether you hate it or love it, you're still gonna have to learn more about the teacher. But if you take a long time to memorize things, go in after school or after class, or just wait a little bit after class, talk to your teacher and ask them for the material before they teach it so you can actually review things. Going in after school is very important, because not only can you actually review your materials beforehand, but you may end up getting some more tips from your teacher on how to study for her test and such, or his test. It's very important to do that. Another thing is that you have to get used to the way your teacher is grading. I know that is like probably the most annoying thing. You just have to be very careful when you're taking your tests. So when you take those tests, kind of like go over everything, and then when you finish, open your test back up and make sure you didn't leave anything out. Just do it like twice, or maybe even 3 times, and be patient while doing it, guys. Even if you have a time limit, like use as much of your time as you can until they kick you out, to make sure that you've done everything the way that you think you should have done it. So guys, I hope you have found this video very helpful and handy. I'm sorry if this was a very messy tips video. I probably should have written everything down before filming it, but I'm a person who likes to wing things, and therefore I hope this video is very handy for how to study, and I hope you guys put these tips to good use, and if you didn't know some of these things, then I hope you really follow them or something. I don't know, just get those A's and make your parents proud. Bye guys! No matter what I do, all I think about is